Alright, hello and welcome. This is our CAD final project, or project 2. Our project is called EduCAD, or EduCAD. It's a CAD software intended for the use of elementary, middle, or high school students to learn how CAD works. It features a couple different things. It features sketch planes, features a rotating view, it features sketches, surfaces, and surface intersections. So I'll start by talking about the sketch planes. So the sketch planes allow you to choose a base plane, either XY, YZ, or XZ. And then from there, you can go ahead and rotate it or transform it as much as you want. So if we want to transform this sketch plane, let's say we want to give it an offset of 50, we can go ahead and do that way. And then if we wanted to rotate it or tilt it about the x-axis, we could change that value right there. And then when we're happy with the way that we've transformed our sketch plane, we can go ahead and accept. And then from there, when we go to the sketch dialog and we choose our sketch plane, we can hit Start Sketch. And any of these options that we choose, there are 4 different sketching options, will be projected onto that plane. So if I go ahead and select like a straight line, for example, I preview it. Then when we go ahead and hit Accept, that straight line is projected onto that plane. And create another one. Got another straight line here, also projected onto the same plane. So you can have as many sketch planes as you want and as many curves as you want. So if we go ahead and create another sketch plane, let's go ahead and create this YZ plane. Then when we go to our sketch, if we go to select plane 1, we can make a spline. And that spline gets projected onto that YZ plane. Now if we're happy with our sketches, we can actually go ahead and delete the sketch planes if we don't want them anymore. We can do that for both of these. And the same is true for any of our curves. So if we don't like these curves, we can delete them. So now I will show off a few of the surfaces we have. So we have 4 different surfaces. We have extruded surfaces, ruled surfaces, loft surfaces, and swept surface. So I'll start with the loft surface. I'm actually going to go ahead and need to create one more curve just because it won't be different from the the ruled surface if I don't add another curve. So if we want to loft between these 3 curves, we're going to go ahead and create another sketch here. Let's go ahead and use a spline. And then if we go to surface, we can go to loft surface. We can create a 3 curve loft surface. And let's actually start with this curve and then go to this one, this one, and this one. And then if we preview that loft surface, that's what it looks like. We can go ahead and accept that. And then boom, we've got our loft surface here. If we don't like our surface, we can go ahead and actually delete it. And then we're just left with our curves again. So now if we want to create, for instance, an extruded surface on curve 3, we can choose our extrusion depth. This is a cylindrical surface. And then we can preview that. We can go in that direction, or we can go in that direction. Or if we go ahead and accept this one, we can extrude it the opposite direction and get it on both sides, just like that. Next, we can have a ruled surface between, for instance, curves 1 and 2. There's a ruled surface right there. And finally, we're going to have a swept surface. So in order to demonstrate that, I'm actually going to delete a lot of what I have, just so it's out of the way. Delete all my curves, and then delete my surfaces. We need to delete this curve right there. Okay. And now I'm going to create a plane for the path and then a plane for my curve. We'll go ahead and create the path. And then we can go ahead and create the actual curve itself on this plane. Okay. And then if we want to go ahead and sweep this curve along this profile, we can select this curve, this curve as the curve, and this curve as the profile, and then preview. And you'll see it's sweeping that curve around that profile based on its distance from the origin. All right, so the last thing that I need to show is the curves of intersection. So we will do that now. Go ahead and get rid of what we have. And we will use these two planes. So we'll start actually with a spline on each one. Or I'll use a Bezier curve for one of them because we haven't shown off the Bezier curve yet. We also need to show off the uniform B-spline, so I'll go ahead and show off both of those. Let's go ahead and use these points for our Bezier curve. And then we'll make another Bezier curve here. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and create two extruded surfaces. So you'll see that these two do intersect. And then if we want to go ahead and find that curve of intersection, we can come here to the surface intersection dialog. And this algorithm takes a little bit to run, but not too long. And we go ahead and get our curve of intersection right there. And then if we're happy with that, we can go ahead and accept it. And then there we go. There's our curve of intersection. If we don't want to keep our surfaces, we can go ahead and delete those. And then all that we're left with are the curves that we've used to generate those surfaces and then the actual curve of intersection itself. So if we go ahead and delete these two curves, all we'll have left is our curve of intersection. And we can actually go ahead and extrude off of this, for instance, and generate a shape or CAD-driven surface from that curve. All right, and so the last thing that we need to show off are uniform B-splines. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and delete this curve, delete this surface, and delete this curve right here, and then I'll create another XZ plane, this time with a Y offset of like 60. And then we'll go ahead and loft between two B-splines here. So if we want to create a B-spline, we'll go here, create a B-spline. And we'll use the points for an oval. We'll go ahead and create another one on this plane. We don't want a spline, we want a B-spline. This will be a slightly bigger oval. Okay, and then if we want to go ahead and create a ruled surface between these two, we can go ahead and select all of these subcurves and select all of these subcurves, whoops, just like that, and then preview this ruled surface, and there we go, we have our expanding cylinder right there, cone. And if we're happy with that, we can go ahead and accept that. And we have a 3D surface, a ruled surface between these two closed uniform B-splines. So that's it for EduCAD. Hope everybody likes it. Hope it looks cool. And yeah.